Good riddance to the government of national unity. The government of national unity that we've grown to love and to hate for the last 9 months, perhaps even by the time you watch this, may be over. In actual fact, sources tell me that the government of national unity is in the craziest place. And that is that it's over. The DA is waiting for the ANC to kick them out, and the ANC is waiting for the DA to leave because neither party want to look like the one that broke the GNU. But I couldn't give a damn which way it goes. I'm just happy that it's over. So you may well ask, what will replace the government of national unity once the DA walks out? Because they've been relying on the DA's 20% of the vote, or 87 seats, to get the majority. Well, what is going to replace them is what we saw in the recent vote on the budget framework. And that is, it's going to be a government of national unity once again between the ANC and the parties that I call ANC light. The ANC light parties, IFP, Patriotic Alliance, Action SA, probably the ACDP, UDM, Al-Jamar, Rise Mzansi, Build One South Africa, Good Party, and PAC. The reason I call them the ANC light in just about every one of those cases, they all have policies that are really just the same policies as the ANC, and they're just really hoping to get a little bit of power and maybe look good now and again and hopefully get a good deal, I'd imagine, here and there. And it helps when you got 1 or 2 seats that you end up with as a cabinet minister. That way you double your salary. So these are parties that we know have been very available to work with and for the ANC. And that's what's going to happen. By my maths, it gives them about 205 seats, enough to get a majority. I wouldn't be surprised if you can add, if EFF doesn't get joined to this, just to make sure that they've got a buffer, because where South Africa is heading right now, the next phase, is what I would call the Joburgification of South Africa. In other words, South Africa is going to look like Johannesburg. It's going to have a messy coalition where instead of trying to work for the best interests of the citizens, or in the case of Johannesburg, the residents, it's only about staying in power. Because I think if we've learned one thing by now, and that is that the ANC couldn't give a damn about the state of the country or the economy or potholes or electricity or anything else. There's only one thing that the ANC, as we sit right here and now in 2025, care about, and that is power. And this will give them another extension on power. And you will hear these same parties that go to the GNU that are currently promising, we will get the best out of the ANC because we'll be way nicer than the DA, and the ANC will understand how valuable we are, and therefore they will listen to us. And they'll pass a budget that's in the best interests of the citizens, and you just got to be nice to them, whereas the DA was arrogant and the DA spoke horribly to them, and that's why we had to end that coalition. And this is why we support the current coalition. And it's going to be exactly what happened in Johannesburg. Parties came in with the promise of service delivery. We've seen nothing. The water doesn't run when you open the taps. The electricity doesn't come on. They've just had massive increase in rates in Johannesburg. You're going to see the same thing on a national level. And those small parties will be in a difficult position because they've now thrown in their lot with the ANC quite clearly. They haven't been able to make a difference, and their brand will be tarnished, but they don't really care because it's quite a sweet deal. Just think about it this way. It's quite a sweet deal. If you can start a political party and somehow, just think of somebody like Bantu Holomisa. The guy's added zero value to South Africa. But yet for like more than 20 years, he's been in parliament and held serious positions. And now he's a deputy cabinet minister getting paid millions. But has he improved the life of one South African? Yes, he's improved the life of Bantu Holomisa. Quite a sweet deal. Somebody said to you, here's a contract for 20 years, earning a lot of money where you do very little work, start your own party, give your vote to the ANC, and then all these riches await you. Who's going to say no? So that's what we're going to see. And we're going to see a strengthened opposition of the Democratic Alliance, Konto Wesizwe, potentially EFF, although I would expect them to be added to the Government of National Unity. Those new parties that come into the Government of National Unity will have as little success as the DA had in negotiating policy. They will go to the ANC and say, let's discuss foreign policy. And the ANC will say, no, we do foreign policy. They'll say, let's discuss economic policy. And they will say, no, we decide economic policy. But what you can do is go be the Minister of Prisons, go be the Minister of Agriculture, maybe even Home Affairs, as long as you are nowhere near the things that we like. So you can go away, we'll call this a Government of National Unity, and we'll say, you see what nation builders we are. Which brings me to the main point, the main problem here. The main problem is the actual idea of a Government of National Unity. This is an idea that has been discredited all around the world. And following the election last year, many of us drank the Kool-Aid, myself included, where we hoped that this will in fact be a grouping of people that wanted to make South Africa better, that wanted to make the economy work more efficiently, do something about our dreadful rate of unemployment. I was right there, thinking this has been the best outcome. Well, humble pie, eaten, right? Governments of national unity are a bad idea. Why? Because think about it this way. If you had a straightforward coalition between two parties, they're going to go in there, you're going to have a team of lawyers on both sides, you're going to discuss policy, you're going to discuss everything item by item by item. It's the same as merging a business. You're not just going to say, sure, let's shake hands on it, let's do it. But when it's clouded with this idea of national unity, like who wants to be the guy that acts against the unity of the nation? Nobody. Therefore, you're dealing with the ANC, whose only objective is to remain in power. And now what you're going to do is you're going to say, let's do what's in the best interest of the country. And they're going to say, no, let's pass Expropriation Act. Let's do what's in the best interest of the country. No, let's piss off America. Let's not increase VAT. Let's cut the bloated expenditure of the state. Then you're going to have Fikile and Balula saying, we don't cut. We're not a cut party. No. Right? So what we're going to see here is we're going to see a replay of what we've seen, except that the opposition parties are going to have less leverage over the ANC. None of them will have the balls to walk away when the ANC starts mistreating them. And it's just going to be terrible. We're going to see a continuation of this. If people thought that the ANC were governing any way they liked before, stick around. You ain't seen nothing yet. Imagine when their biggest coalition partner is the IFP that sits there and threatens, oh, no, we must have good governance. Well, their own record has been tarnished enough, so they're not going to do anything about it. We've seen the Patriotic Alliance already be in coalition with ANC in Johannesburg, city of Tshwane. So it goes. They're going to have these supplicant parties, these parties that are just going to sit there and tick, 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 tick. But it's going to hasten the end, because there is an end to this. Because understand that this current Government of National Unity, which is coming to an end, had many seats, like 280 seats. They could pass anything they wanted to. They had the big majority in the government. But the next one is going to have a very small majority. And soon enough, we all live in South Africa. We know how the ANC operates. And soon enough, there's going to be that little sticking point. There's going to be a minister who's guilty of corruption. And Herman Mashaba is going to stand up, who's now the Minister of Home Affairs, and he's going to say, we must do something about this minister. And President Ramaphosa is going to look around and say, no, shame, let's move her to another ministry. And everybody's going to say, well, why didn't you do anything about it? And they're going to say, well, it's not us, it's them. Well, it's your government of national unity. And the problem will just get kicked down the road. And the rampant corruption will carry on, and the bloated government will carry on. But at least, soon enough, what will happen is that the bigger opposition will put forward a motion of no confidence against the president. It's coming. And the vote is going to be mighty close. But all they need to do is they need to wait until ANC Light, those little parties, realize that their brand is being tarnished so badly that the wind has changed. And perhaps they should support the motion of no confidence by voting for it. It's going to happen. So I would imagine that South Africans should get used to the idea that potentially we're going to have an election, a national election, probably before the next local government elections were scheduled for, which is a year and a bit from now, right? Because that is the only way that we are going to get a change in this country, is to go back to the polls. And if we have to go back to the polls again and again and again, let's get the situation sorted out. Because right now, we need a government so desperately that acts in the best interests of the country. We haven't seen one of those for more than 15 years. And I don't see South African citizens as being happy with the situation. On another note, I must say, if I was in the Democratic Alliance, I think that those people will have their first decent night's sleep in 9 months. Because the ANC are an impossible party to work with. The only good partners that the ANC have had, much like we point to the metros here in Gauteng, are the ones that pay off. They give them positions, they let them do the tenders in this particular ministry, that ministry. We understand that the National Prosecuting Authority is going to bungle every case, whether it's on purpose or not, we're not sure. But the only way they can get partners is to buy them off. So let's see where this goes. But all I know for sure is that this current government of national unity is dead in the water. It's now just a question of who administers the final blow. Do the DA walk away, or does the president get up and say he's reshuffling the cabinet and he removes all of the DA ministers from the cabinet and replaces them with his GNU in waiting? But it's going to happen, and it's going to happen pretty soon. So, if you want to hear more about it, we are going to have one of the ministers in the firing line, and that's Gayton McKenzie at a business breakfast on the 16th of April here in Sandton. If you want to join, the details will be in the description below. Otherwise, support our sponsors, Pace Car Rental. Like and subscribe the channel. We'll see you again on the State of the Nation weekly update. Thank you for joining me.